Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I have a new strategy for you guys that can be done by pretty much anybody in tier 1 maps of all places, and the startup costs are very low, and once you get it set up you can do it forever, pretty much for free, and you're never ever going to possibly be able to lose money, and you should make anywhere between 5 to 10 C per map in tier 1 maps, which is pretty damn awesome. And again, any build can do it. It's just gonna determine how fast you go. But what is the strategy? Give us the details. Well, you'll be farming 6 sockets in tier 1 maps. 6 sockets are very powerful. You can sell a 6 socket item to a vendor for 7 jeweler's orbs, and then sell 8 jeweler's orbs at least, or 4 jeweler's orbs for 1 fusing. So essentially every single 6 socket that you see drop is 2 fusing orbs, and 2 fusing orbs right now is worth 1 chaos orb. Actually, it's a little bit more. So you can actually make a lot of chaos. So every single 6 socket you drop is 1 chaos orb, which is pretty crazy. And when you start going, you'll see in the background here, we drop about 13 6 sockets. There's our first 2. That's 2C, 3C already. Pretty damn good. And we're already, 1 minute in, 1 minute. And we're going to drop a lot more in this map as well. Now, the reason this is so powerful is that the actual league mechanic drops a metric ton of items. It drops like a ton of just random stuff, and you have a big chance of getting it to become 6 sockets, which is really good. And the way we're making items drop as 6 sockets, well, we have a watchstone that we're using, craftable watchstone. Now, I know, you're probably like, oh man, here we go, 30 exalt watchstones again. No, these watchstones are very easy to craft. It's going to take you around about, on average, about 100 alterations to get one which is usable and ready to go. So that's not too bad at all. And you can pretty much get the money to do that just by farming some low tier ultimatums, and that's going to get you in a position to where you can get started on the strategy. Obviously, the more of the watchstones you have, the better. But you can start off with 1 or 2 if you want, and you're going to make a few extra chaos per map. And then when you start getting the rest of them, you'll start really ramping up and getting into the juice zone, which is really good. So in the background here, you've of course got the footage, but I'm also using magic find. I'm using about 30% quantity on my gear, and then I'm also using a wind ripper bow. That is so that I drop more items. The more items you drop, the more 6 sockets that drop by using the watchstones. We'll go over the watchstones in a second here, but overall, it's kind of essentially you run low tier maps. You do the ultimatum, and you can throw anything else you've got on there as well. Some sextants if you want. If you feel like it, you don't have to. You can throw Alva on there. She's pretty damn good for some 6 sockets as well. If you've got some pretty good stuff going on there, you can pretty much anything that drops any amount of items. You throw it on there, it'll give you more 6 sockets. And then when those items drop, the watchstones convert them to 6 sockets. You've got the quantity amping up how much you get, and it's actually really good here. I'll let you guys watch the loot explosion from the ultimatum. This ultimatum was actually kind of weird. It bugged out. It like broke because I took one of the points and then I was spamming tornado shot. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, you'll notice that I get about, I don't know how many I get here, like 6 sockets. Depending on which encounter you get, it will vary. The survival ones are by far the best. They give you the most loot, but also the slaying ones are not bad either. The stone circles is the worst. I'm not sure what's going on with that one, but it has a few issues there. But overall, it's pretty damn good, and you're going to see the big loot explosion, and then we'll get in how to craft the watchstones, what you want to put in your character for the magic find, and also how to kind of get the maps that you want, because you want to have 4 watchstones in there, but then you also want to do tier 1 maps. I'm going to explain to you guys how to do that as well, and you guys are going to be able to make pretty big bang. So I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here so we can see the loot explosion. Essentially, we just go through the ultimatum. No problems there. Here's the loot explosion. So we get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 6 sockets. I think that was actually 7. But yeah, basically, we got 3 inventories almost of 6 sockets. That's a lot of juice. That's 13 chaos for a T1 map that we did in 5 minutes. You could be faster if you wanted to go faster. But it is what it is. So that's pretty damn good. Now, let's get into the min-maxing of it. So, the watchstones in question, what are they? Well, let's zoom in here. So, you just need any watchstone at all in any of the 4 center regions. The reason we're going to go for the center regions, I'll explain in a second, but it can literally be chromium, titanium, or platinum. Doesn't matter. This modifier is rollable in all of them. And the modifier in question is geomancy. So this one here, items found in areas have a 0.5% chance to have the maximum number of sockets. So when you have 4 of these at maximum roll, it's going to be 2%. So every 100 items you drop will be 6 sockets. There'll be 2 of them, which will be 2C. So the more items you drop, the better. Of course, though, I'm actually not using the maximum ones here because I didn't have them on hand, but I've just got some 0.4% ones in here, so it's no problem, and I'm still achieving pretty good results, so you don't need to go for the max roll. But, you know, if you're really trying to push it to the limits, you can go for the max roll as well. So those are pretty easy to craft. I'll show you guys how to craft them now. If you just go over to Craft of Exile, which we'll just go and pull the tab up here, I'll show you guys. You can go over to this website and it'll show you exactly how common it is to craft them. So it doesn't matter what watchstone you craft it on, it can be literally any of them, and it's going to be a good time. So we'll just wait here while it loads. Watchstone, literally any of them, so platinum, it doesn't matter. And we're looking for the sockets. So here it is. Items and areas have maximum number of sockets. So if we just wanted T2, here you can see that on average, it would take 56 alterations, so 15 chaos to roll the watchstone. The watchstones are about like 15C, depending on which area you buy it in. It doesn't really matter. Any of the center areas are fine. A mix of them is also fine. As long as you have 4 in one area, it's all good. So it's incredibly cheap to roll this stuff, and it's going to be not too bad. You can make that back in about 1 or 2 maps of actually just getting 6 sockets and selling a few things, which is super duper good. You know, if you wanted to go for T1, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but you know, you will eventually make that back if you run enough maps, which is pretty cool. So yeah, not bad at all. Don't worry about the watchstone type, and then just socket it into one of the 4 areas. There's a few different merits for the different areas, which I'll get into later, but let's talk a little bit about gear. So the more magic find you have on your gear, the more items you'll drop from the ultimatum and also from the rest of the map, which is going to essentially give you more 6 sockets because they'll be converted by the watchstones. So you can see here right now, I'm using white socket, the pariahs. So you can see it says 15% increase item quantity per white socket. Rings are a fairly flexible spot for most builds. That's why I wanted to show off the rings. You can just buy these. I think these cost 40C each for me right now, but you don't have to use these. You can use Ventus Gambles as well. Anything which has quantity on it is fine, but you don't even have to use the rings if you don't want. There's a pair of boots that has 20% quantity on them called Goldworm. You can use them instead. There's gloves called Sedima's Touch. They have quantity on them. You can use them instead as well. You can get quantity on a Shaper Amulet, or you can use Bisco's Leash. Bisco's Collar. Is it Bisco's Collar? Bisco's Collar, I think it is. Maybe it's Leash. I can't remember. But that one also drops a bunch of items as well. I'm using a Wind Ripper. If you're a bow build, you can look into using a Wind Ripper. That's also good. But I have about 45% quantity here, and that's what I was using to achieve the results you saw in the background here. Another important factor is rolling your maps. That's also going to be fairly important. You can use alchemy orbs, and then if you want to use Val orbs, that's also going to increase the amount of kind of 6 sockets you get in the map. The map that you saw in the background had 61% quantity on it, so definitely not a lot of quantity. It was using no sextants. So if you use sextants, you'll get even more monsters, and as a result, more juice. So yeah, there's a lot you can do to take it past what I showed you guys. I just wanted to show you guys like kind of a control, what you can do on literally minimum kind of investment. I think there's also a belt that you can use, which is called the String of Servitude, which has corruption on it, which has quantity on it too. So plenty of options to go for quantity. Basically, every build is going to have at least something they can do to amp up the quantity of the items they find. And this is definitely going to be a pretty good strategy. All right, let's get into how you get the maps. So there is a prophecy called the Lost Maps. Basically, when you pop the prophecy, you can buy them in bulk off the trade website. I'll show you guys how to do that in a second here. But you can pop the prophecy, and then all you need to go to is Chamber of Sins in Act 2. And then you go over here, and then that's going to activate the prophecy. And you guys will see that there's maps on the floor when I come in here. And if there's not, I'll just have to make a new instance. But there they are. There's my maps. So I've got maps, which are all T1. You can do this very quickly. If I had another prophecy, you could just Control-click. New instance, and you keep going, and then you can just turn all the prophecies into maps, and it's actually really awesome. So let's quickly take a look at that, and we'll see. So here's the trade website. Bulk item exchange is where you want to go. You want to go down to prophecies here. Control F. Lost maps. Where is it? Lost maps. All right. So you want to look for someone who has like at least 2 maybe, or maybe 3. So minimum stock 3. Yep, so there's all these guys here. So look, 4 here. You can just buy it off this guy here. There's plenty of them. Maybe you have to pay 2C, but you get a lot of maps. This guy has 33 of them at 2C. But you saw how much we were making in that map. It's no problem. You just need to buy the lost maps, and then you're good to go. And if you run out of stock of the lost maps, maybe we'll have to find some other strategy. But I think it's probably a-okay. Yeah, that's how it is. So that's how you get your maps. Now, You can trade with other people doing a similar strategy because you're only going to want one map type. So for me, it was arcade because I'm in Greenwich, Cairns. Maybe if you had a buddy doing something similar, you could trade him your Valdo's Rest maps for Greenwich, Cairns maps, and that would work out, and you'd kind of get a better kind of thing going. Because I only got one arcade here, and then I got 2 coves, 2 pens, and a jungle valley. Ultimately, you could get watchstones in all 4 areas, and that probably would be the most efficient. But yeah, that is definitely something to be discussed later. All right, let's talk about which of the 4 areas you want to put your watchstones in. Well, there is actually kind of an argument to be made for all of them. In Valdo's Rest, you get a free Harbinger, and you also get a free powerful Harbinger 30% of the time. Despite the nerf, this is still fairly powerful. And you also do get a Metamorph 10% of the time. So that will add up over time, and it can be pretty good. You also do get Blight 10% of the time. So if you spec into all of these and you have the points to go for it, it's pretty damn good. And it will give you more lead mechanics, and then those lead mechanics will then drop items, which will be 6 sockets, which, currency, which is pretty damn good. So Valor's Rest is a good pick. Greenwich, Cairns is also an interesting pick here. The reason that you would go for Greenwich, Cairns is actually because of Alva, and that is why I ended up going for it. I was planning on doing Alvas, because it gives you a 10% chance, a 6% chance to get an Alva. And then you also have all of the bonuses of doing Incursion in Greenwich, Cairns, and you can get double corruption chambers and all sorts of other like sacrificial chambers and stuff like that, which is actually pretty damn cool. And those sell for a bit of money as well. So you can also go for the Alva approach, which could be pretty cool, and you also do get a free strongbox, which is pretty cool as well. Now, probably the best one in my opinion is Turn's End, and that is because of Trespassers and Exotic Goods. So Trespassers and Exotic Goods, they don't really feed into the 6-socket strategy too much, but what they do feed into is free currency. This is actually a pretty good node these days. It drops a pretty good amount of items, and if you're running maps pretty quick, if you're running 12 an hour or more than that, maybe more than that, I don't know, then you can actually probably get a good amount of currency from this here, from this Exotic Goods and Trespassers, because it will add up over time, and it will be pretty damn good as well. In addition to that, you do also have stuff like the Delirium stuff. If you wanted to spec into that, I'd probably just grab the 10% Delirium Mirror and then take Abyss. If you could do Abyss as well, that would probably synergize pretty well with this strategy as well. I don't think Lex Proxima is very good for this area, so we're not going to discuss it, but the other 3 areas all have merit. Unless you wanted to use Breach Scarabs and stuff like that, this isn't going to be the play, so we're not going to discuss that. So that's pretty much how to roll the Watchstones, gear up your character, what you can expect, and also which areas that you may want to consider. I think it's a fairly competitive strategy if you have the Magic Find on, and it is going to net you anywhere between 5 to 10 chaos profit per map, and you can do a map in anywhere between 5 to 6 minutes. That's not too bad, and it's guaranteed money as well. It's also scalable money, and the cool thing about doing arcade, actually, which I'll add on at the end here, is that this can drop the Saint's Treasure divination card, and because you are playing with Magic Find, that makes it particularly appealing, because you're going to have a higher chance at dropping Saint's Treasures from the ultimatums, and also from the map in general. So you're getting this guaranteed profit from the 6 sockets, and then you also have a chance to drop a really, really awesome divination card, which is worth a ton of chaos as well. So it's quite a fun playstyle. You can gear up your character to go really fast. I'm pretty slow right now, and you can probably bang out maps in 3 or 4 minutes, which would be pretty cool. So with all that said, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed the video and enjoyed this kind of really super duper entry level kind of strategy here. Anyone can do it. It's pretty fun. Lets you do the ultimatum mechanic, and I really, really do enjoy it. So with all that said, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.